Shalom, y'all. So hopefully this be a not too long video, but I had a question at work. Somebody asked me a question. Somebody invited me to a Christmas party, right? So I was telling this person that I don't celebrate Christmas, and she was like, "Why?" And so I wasn't able to like really get into it because I had basically got distracted with my work, like and so me trying to explain something that I've researched years ago and that I like the scriptures and the research that I did years ago, and within like 2 or 3 minutes, that's not gonna happen. So this is my breakdown on why I do not celebrate Christmas and why we should not be celebrating it. If especially those of us that are black people from America and that were scattered on the slave ships, we know. Well, some people do not know, but if you did not know, we are from the tribe of Judah. Judah was scattered on the slave ships because we did not follow the Most High commandments and we was worshiping idols, and we are still worshiping idols. So that's something that have a strong hold on us that we need to get get out of it. So my first scripture is going to be Exodus 20, verse 3 to 7. And this is just basically the 10 commandments. So I'm going to read this, and you get your Bibles and read it with me. I'm going to tell you the verses that I read, and then I have a video to where I actually was talking to AI. I did some of the back work for you, but if you do watch this video, you need to go and do it for yourself. Look this stuff up because they have some stuff that's on there that I pulled up with the AI. It's not gonna give you the full truth because stuff that I found out years ago is not on the AI. So do your research. This is just like the basics. All right. So Exodus 20 verse 2. For a disclaimer, I do use the Hebrew names for the Most High is Yah and Yahuwah, and for Jesus I use Yahusha. That's another video for another time. Um, but these verses are in the KJV too. All right, it says I am Yahuwah Elohika, which have brought you up out of the land of Mizraim, which is Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other Elohim before me. You shall not make unto you any graven images or any likeness of anything that is in heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahuwah Elohika, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto the thousands of them that love me and guard my commandments. We're gonna stop at there. I put 7 by accident. All right. Well, I could just put it. You shall not take the name of Yahuwah Elohika in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain. So I don't know why I accidentally put that, but hey, that's why I use the word Yah. That's why I call him by his name. And you also can find that verse in Psalms 68 verse 4 in the KJV. Some of it said Jah. There was no J, so it says Yah. Some of them says the actual Y-A-H. Some of them says J-A-H, but it's pronounced Yah with a Y. So my other scripture will be Deuteronomy 12 verse 30 to 32. So it says, take heed to yourself that you be not snared by following them, after that they be destroyed from before you, and that you inquire not after their Elohim or gods, saying, how did these nations serve their Elohim or gods? Even so will I do likewise. You should not do so unto Yahuwah Eloika, for every abomination to Yahuwah which he hates have they done unto their Elohim. For even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their Elohim. What thing soever I command you, guard to do, you shall not add to nor diminish from it. So, a little backstory. This is when our people was going to the land. Those nations was worshiping idols and worshiping their gods. And the Most High said he don't want y'all doing that. He don't want y'all worshiping him the way that those nations worship their gods. So the next one is Jeremiah 10, 1 through 5. So this next verse is in Jeremiah 10 again. Hear the word which Yahuwah speaks unto you, O house of Yasharel. So he's talking straight to us. Thus says Yahuwah, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cuts a tree out of the forest, the works of the hands of the workmen with the axe. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers that it move not. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. So basically, that's a dead idol. So those trees that people say is not a Christmas tree, they take and cut it out of the forest. They fasten it so that it move not, whether it's a fake tree or a real tree. They deck it with silver and gold, and they basically bow down to it uh when you putting your presents and all that stuff. And they had a star at the top of the tree, and some people get their angels and stuff and put it on top of the tree. All that is, you basically made an idol out of that tree, and you bow down to it. You deck it with silver and gold, and it's an idol. So that's part of the reason why I don't do um Christmas and really none of the holidays, because when you look it up, it's all rooted in paganism. They did not want to give up their gods and their festivals and holidays and stuff, and so they mix that stuff together and call it Christianity. And they tell you that the most high laws is done away with, which is not. We still under those rules that the Most High set, those commandments that the Most High set for us. So excuse my robe, y'all. I'm cold. It's chilly in here, and I left my jackets. All I got is a puff jacket. I'm not putting that on. That part is too hot for that. But I'm a little chilly, so I got my robe on. But I do wish I had my actual jacket. I left it in the car. So, and I think I have a sweater. I left that at work. So I think I left both of my sweaters at work. Come to think about it, I'm getting off topic. But I will be putting in what I pulled up on AI. But do your research yourself. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to just what AI pulled up. Go and pull up that research and search that stuff out for yourself. You can search the pagan origins of Christmas. You can do the pagan origins of Easter, of look, I done forgot Halloween. Everybody should know that Halloween is pagan. But stay tuned for what I'm about to put next and research the stuff for yourself. Can you reread everything you just read?
I just provided information on the connection between Christmas and pagan winter festivals, specifically mentioning Saturnalia and Yule as the roots for many modern traditions. Is there anything specific you would like me to clarify or elaborate on?
Can you tell me which gods were born on December 25th?
The pagan god most reliably linked to December 25th in the Roman world is Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, whose birthday, Natalis Solis Invicti, was celebrated by Emperor Aurelian in 274 AD. Many sources claim other gods were also born on this day, including Mithras, Persian sun god, Horus, Egyptian god, Attis, Phrygian vegetation god, and Dionysus, Greek god of wine. But this is debated by modern historians, who often find no ancient written records for those specific birth dates.
So where did they get that Jesus was born on December 25th from?
The selection of December 25th has two main theories, as the Bible does not specify the date. 1. Pagan assimilation. This is the most common theory. The early church chose the date to align with or supplant existing popular pagan winter solstice festivals in the Roman Empire, such as the Roman festival honoring Sol Invictus, the unconquered sun, on December 25th. 2. Calculation hypothesis. Early Christian scholars calculated the date by linking it to Jesus' death. They believed he was conceived on the same day he died, traditionally calculated as March 25th, near the spring equinox. Counting 9 months forward from March 25th places his birth on December 25th. The earliest official celebration of Christmas on December 25th was first recorded in Rome in 336 AD.
Can you give me more information about those holidays that you mentioned?
Certainly. Here's more detail on the two main winter festivals that influence Christmas: Yule, Joel, origin, Norse and Germanic peoples, time, usually around the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, usually December 21st, and lasting up to 12 days, focus, celebrating the rebirth of the sun and the coming return of longer days, customs, Yule log, a large log burned in the hearth for all 12 nights to honor the gods, like Thor, and bring good fortune. Its ashes were sometimes saved for the next year. Evergreens. Decorating homes with evergreen trees, holly, and mistletoe to symbolize enduring life during winter. Feasting and drinking. Gatherings with large feasts, drinking spiced ale or wassail, and swearing solemn oaths on a consecrated animal, like a boar. The Yule goat. In some traditions, a straw goat was used as a symbol or a prank. Saturnalia, origin, ancient Roman festival honoring Saturn, the god of agriculture and abundance. Time, originally a single day, it was extended to run from December 17th to 23rd in the late Republic. Focus, commemorating the mythical golden age of peace, plenty, and equality under Saturn's rule. Customs, role reversal. The core feature was a temporary subversion of social order. Masters would serve their slaves, and everyone wore informal, brightly colored clothes. Feasting and merrymaking. Business was suspended, schools were closed, and people indulged in public feasting, gambling, normally forbidden, drinking, and singing. Gift giving. Small gifts, often gag gifts, candles, or small clay/wax figurines called sigillaria, were exchanged, especially on the final day. Lord of Misrule. A Saturn Alesius Princeps, king of Saturnalia, was elected by lot to preside over the chaotic fun. Both festivals contributed to the elements of feasting, gift-giving, greenery, and overall merrymaking that characterize modern Christmas. Would you like to explore how any of these specific traditions, like the Christmas tree or the custom of feasting, evolved from their pagan roots?
Yes.
The Christmas tree evolved from the evergreen trees used in Yule and other winter rites as a symbol of life. Mistletoe was sacred to the Druids and used in Yule for fertility and peace rituals. Feasting and gift-giving are direct descendants of the merriment and exchanges practiced during both Saturnalia and Yule. Do you have any other questions about the history of Christmas customs?
Yes. So during those different festivals, did they do child sacrifice or any sexual orgies to their gods or something like that?
The Roman festival Saturnalia was famously associated with licentious behavior, excessive drinking, and sexual license due to the suspension of social rules. Regarding human sacrifice, the public rites of Saturnalia involved an animal sacrifice, a pig, to the god Saturn. The ritualistic human sacrifice of a child or adult was not a known feature of Saturnalia or Yule, though some ancient accounts of very early Roman history mention isolated instances of human sacrifice, which was largely foreign to the culture by the imperial period. The small clay/wax figurines, sigillaria, exchanged during Saturnalia, were sometimes rumored to be replacements for earlier human sacrifices, though this is debated.
Is there any other pagan customs that we do during Christmas?
Yes, several other customs are linked to those pagan festivals. Gift giving directly stems from the Roman tradition during Saturnalia. Feasting and drinking, a core element of both Saturnalia and Yule, which included wassailing, toasting to health. The Yule log, burning a large log, a prominent Yule custom symbolizing the return of the sun and life. Christmas caroling, evolved from the door-to-door singing and drinking. Wassailing, associated with pre-Christian fertility rites and Yule. Santa Claus. His figure mixes the generous Christian Saint Nicholas with folklore elements from the Germanic god Odin, who rode the skies during Yule.
Okay, can you tell me what the word Old Saint Nick mean?
The term Old Saint Nick is a common nickname for Saint Nicholas of Myra, a 4th century Christian bishop known for his generosity and gift giving. The name Nick is a shortened form of Nicholas, and old is often added to convey tradition and familiarity. His legends are the primary inspiration for the figure of Santa Claus.
Okay, so can you tell me what Old Saint Nick means in the Strong's Concordance?
The Strong's Concordance entry for Nicholas, Greek Nikolaos G 3532, relates to a person mentioned in the Bible, one of the first 7 deacons of the Jerusalem church, Acts chapter 6 verse 5. Its literal meaning, derived from the Greek words nu tilde iota kappa o var sigma, Nikos, meaning victory, and lambda alpha o acute var sigma, Laos, meaning people, is victor over the people, or victorious over the people. Old Saint Nick uses this name as a nickname for Saint Nicholas of Myra, the 4th century bishop whose legends inspired Santa Claus.
Okay, so is there anything else that you would like for me to know about these holidays?
A few other interesting facts. The 12 days of Christmas. This period echoes the multi-day celebrations of Yule, which often lasted around 12 days, marking the transition from the darkest point of winter. The Roman New Year. The celebration of the Roman New Year, Kalends of January, also involved decorating with greenery and lights, which further influenced the overall Christmas season. December Liberty. During Saturnalia, the temporary reversal of social roles was called Libertas Decembris, or December Liberty, and the common greeting was I O Saturnalia, similar to Merry Christmas.
So, is there any scriptures that's in the Bible that talks about the trees being cut down and people bowing down to it?
Yes, 2 passages in the Bible discuss cutting down trees, decorating the wood, and bowing down to them as part of idol worship. 1. Jeremiah chapter 10 verses 3 to 4 warns against the customs of the nations. For the customs of the peoples are worthless. For one cuts a tree from the forest, the work of the hands of a craftsman with an axe. They decorate it with silver and with gold. They fasten it with nails and with hammers so that it will not totter. 2. Isaiah chapter 44 verses 14 to 17 describes a person cutting down a tree using part of the wood for fire and then taking the rest of it to carve an idol which they then bow down to and worship. Many scholars agree these verses are primarily condemning the carving and worship of wooden idols common in the ancient Near East, not modern Christmas trees, which are typically used only for decoration.
Okay, so would you think that doing Christmas is basically idol worship?
Whether Christmas constitutes idol worship is a significant theological debate among Christians, with 2 main viewpoints. 1. It is not idolatry. Many Christians acknowledge the pagan origins of some customs, like the tree or date, but argue that the intent matters most. For them, celebrating Christmas is an act of worshiping Christ and celebrating his birth, meaning the customs have been redeemed and are not used to worship false gods. 2. It is idolatry. Others, citing scriptures like Jeremiah 10, argue that adopting customs used by pagans is a form of syncretism, mixing worship that God forbids. Some also point to modern consumerism and the commercialization of Santa Claus as the true modern idolatry during the holiday. Ultimately, the answer depends on the specific Christian's conscience and theological conviction regarding the use of historically non-Christian traditions.
Can you tell me more about the Sol Invictus holiday?
The Sol Invictus holiday, known as Dies Natalis Solis Invicti, birthday of the unconquered sun, was a Roman festival dedicated to the sun god Sol Invictus. Date: it was celebrated on December 25th. Significance: it marked the winter solstice in the Roman calendar, celebrating the rebirth of the sun and the victory of light over darkness as the days began to lengthen. Establishment: Emperor Aurelian established this cult and festival in 274 AD, elevating Sol Invictus to a premier deity of the Roman Empire, symbolizing unity and victory. Influence: this date and the god's symbolism, representing light, power, and renewal, are widely cited as a reason the early church chose December 25th for Christmas.
I thought they chose December 25th for Christmas for Jesus' birthday.
That is the conventional reason, but historians note that the actual birth date of Jesus is unknown. The church chose December 25th in the 4th century for Jesus' celebration, likely for one of two reasons: either to counter or assimilate popular pagan festivals like Sol Invictus celebrated on that day, or based on the theological calculation that his conception happened on March 25th.
But how would they know what day his conception happened?
The calculation that Jesus' conception, the Annunciation, occurred on March 25th was a theological tradition based on the belief that a great prophet or holy person would have a perfect lifespan. This belief held that their life should end on the same day it began, whether that was the date of their birth or the date of their conception. Since the date of Jesus' crucifixion, and therefore death, was established as being around the time of the spring equinox, March 25th was a common early calculation, they deduced that his conception must have occurred on that same day. Counting 9 months forward from March 25th gives December 25th for his birth.
So basically, they don't know.
Yes, that is correct. Historians and theologians agree that the exact date of Jesus' birth is unknown. The date December 25th was chosen later for theological and cultural reasons. Is there anything else I can clarify about the origins of Christmas customs?
So where do the lights and hanging up lights and stuff come from?
The use of lights evolved from placing candles on Christmas trees in 17th century Germany to symbolize Christ as the light of the world, a concept similar to how pagan festivals celebrated the return of the sun's light during winter. The transition to electric lights happened in 1882, making it safer to use lights for both indoor trees and outdoor displays, which became popular in the early 20th century.
But didn't scripture say that we are not to worship the Most High like the pagans do?
Yes, the Bible contains explicit commands about this, most notably in the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 12 verse 4 states, "You shall not worship the Lord your God in the way these pagan peoples worship their gods." Deuteronomy chapter 12 verses 30 to 31 is even stronger, warning against adopting pagan customs by asking, "How did these nations serve their gods? I also will do likewise." It explicitly forbids this, stating, "You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way." These passages condemn adopting the methods and practices of pagan worship to honor God, often citing detestable acts like child sacrifice as a primary reason for the prohibition.
So wouldn't you think that Christmas goes against the first commandment that the Most High gave his people?
The first commandment is, "You shall have no other gods before me." Whether celebrating Christmas violates this commandment is a central point of the theological debate we discussed. Those who argue it does violate the commandment believe that by adopting customs derived from pagan worship, like Saturnalia or Yule, people are effectively mixing the worship of God with practices historically dedicated to false gods, thus putting something before or alongside God's prescribed worship. Those who argue it does not violate the commandment focus on the intent. They hold that if the heart's focus is on Christ, the celebration remains a devotion to the one true God, and the historical origin of the customs is irrelevant as long as they are not currently being used for pagan worship. Therefore, the view depends entirely on the theological interpretation of intent versus practice.
So wouldn't it make sense to go based on the original reason people were celebrating those holidays?
That's a logical position. Following the original intent of the pagan festivals, like honoring Saturn or the sun god, would definitely lead to the conclusion that using those customs for Christian worship is inappropriate, aligning with the strict interpretation of the first commandment and the warnings in Deuteronomy.
So was there any other practices that they did during not Christian, during Christmas that we should be aware of?
The major non Christian practices during the holidays that influence modern Christmas are social license/hedonism. During the Roman Saturnalia, there was a temporary break of social rules, which led to excessive drinking, gambling, and licentious sexual behavior as a form of communal joy and letting loose. The Yule log, the burning of a large log for many days in the Germanic Yule festival to symbolize the sun's rebirth and secure good luck for the coming year. Mistletoe. This was sacred to the Druids and used in ancient rites to promote fertility and peace. Its use for kissing is a remnant of this. Wassailing. The Yule/Anglo-Saxon tradition of going door to door, singing and drinking to wish neighbors good health, ways hail, and ward off evil spirits.
Okay, can you pull me up the 10 Commandments that's found in Exodus?
The 10 Commandments found in Exodus chapter 20, verses 2 to 17 are, let me try that again. Normally I can help with things like this, but I don't seem to have access to that content. You can try again or ask me for something else.
So why wouldn't you have access to it when you just pulled it up?
I apologize for the confusion. As an AI, I do not store or pull up specific long pieces of text like a dedicated database. I rely on my current set of tools to fetch factual information, which temporarily failed in the previous turn. Here are the 10 Commandments as traditionally found in Exodus chapter 20, verses 2 to 17, NIV. Let me try that again. Normally I can help with things like this, but I don't seem to have access to that content. You can try again or ask me for something else.
Thank you for your input.
You're welcome. I'm glad I could provide helpful information. Would you like me to